Had an interesting week of the NFL, didn't we? Some very interesting primetime games, major development off the field, and apparently with the Raiders organization as a whole. Let's look back at the week that was and talk about week 5 of this 2021 NFL season. It all started on Thursday night. Russell Wilson goes down with the hand injury. He's going to be out for several weeks. The Seahawks went down 2 to the Rams. Los Angeles wins 26-17, and it's trouble time in Seattle. Might need to get the 12th, 13th, and 14th man to be able to play some defense, or maybe you can find somebody that can actually be a quarterback. Moving on to the Sunday games. In jolly old England, the Falcons had a jolly old time themselves in London, beating the Jets 27-20. Other action in the Sunday games, you're watching that Green Bay and Cincinnati game, wondering to yourself, will somebody make a damn kick already? Holy hell. Mason Crosby finally did after several misses. Packers beat the Bengals in overtime 25-22. Another week and another brutal loss for the Detroit Lions. Lions gonna Lions. Dan Campbell is crying in emotions. His team is 0-5. That's got to be frustrating. Vikings win 19-17. The Steelers offense came to life a little bit. Held off the Broncos' late charge. They end up winning 27-17. Or it should be like 20. I think I got the score wrong there. Tom Brady had 5 more passing touchdowns. Another big week for him through the air. Another struggling week for the Miami Dolphins, especially their offense. But even then, their defense gave up 45 points. So let's not just blame the offense in Miami. It's a whole fuck show right now in Miami. Bucks roll 45-17. Good Jameis was in Washington on Sunday. Had 4 touchdowns himself. Saints beat the Washington football team 33-22. Jalen Hurts led a comeback by the Eagles. Had a late touchdown run with a little over 2 minutes to go. Philadelphia beats the Panthers 21-18. Nice win for them, for sure, on the road. Excuse me, I was at home, but you get my point. It was a nice win for them either way. Another week, another dominant performance for Derrick Henry. Had 130 yards rushing and 3 touchdowns. Helps the Tennessee Titans tame the Jacksonville Jaguars 37-19. And I'm sure Urban Meyer right now is trying to type up his own racist email so that he could get fired and still get paid. He ain't want to be there. He wants that USC job. Crazy enough, isn't it? Davis Mills with a fantastic performance as a rookie quarterback, going up against Bill Belichick and the Patriots defense, and all of that, and then the Texans still found a way to lose. A late field goal for the Patriots. They steal away the win 25-22. The Raiders quit in what ultimately proved to be John Gruden's swan song during his disastrous tenure as the Las Vegas Raiders head coach. Bears had a good day defensively, ran the ball well. They sealed the deal, win 20-9. The Chargers used 4 fourth-quarter touchdowns to come back. Baker gets out-dueled by Justin Herbert. Chargers beat the Browns 47-42 in a fun nutsos game itself. Dak Prescott went over 300 yards passing. Zeke Elliott went over 100 yards rushing. Down goes Danny Dimes with an injury. The Cowboys roll again 44-20. This Cowboys team feasting on some shitty teams on their schedule, but they're looking kind of legit right now, especially on offense. Trey Lance made his first career start as a bit of a mixed bag for sure. 16 carries on the ground, less than ideal with your quarterback, but it is what it is. But first start, got it out of the way, but the Cardinals had too much. They moved to 5-0, winning 17-10. The Bills on Sunday night making the big, huge statement. They came out and rocked the Kansas City Chiefs and pushed their shit in on Sunday night at Arrowhead. That was impressive stuff. And if you're looking at the AFC now and you're saying at this moment, who's the team to beat? Even though the Chiefs, in theory, it still has to go through them, and they're the 2-time defending AFC champions, the reality is they're now 2-3. They've lost to the Ravens. They've lost to the Chargers. They've now lost to the Bills. They're losing to all of these really good teams that aren't the Cleveland Browns. The Bills are the favorites right now, and they earned it. This was a huge win for them. And then Monday night, a big spot for Lamar Jackson, and he really delivered, throwing for 442 yards and 4 touchdowns. Ravens with the big fourth-quarter rally coming back to win in overtime 31-25. The Sunday night game was interesting in one way, watching the Bills just beat up on the Chiefs. And then Monday night, it was a crazy finish to that game. Absolutely crazy. Not to mention the fucking weather delay in the Sunday night game. What the hell was that? In terms of the biggest winners and losers for the week, your biggest winners, Philadelphia Eagles, I give them credit. They beat a team with a winning record. Jalen Hurts with the big touchdown run late keeps them in the mix, maybe. Yeah, who knows at this point? Get their second win, though. Like, they're not totally out of it just yet. The Los Angeles Chargers, big win for them against the Browns. Now they're sitting at 4-1. They've beat the Chiefs. They've beat the Browns. Their one loss was by 3 points to a really good Cowboys team. Like, the Chargers certainly are a contender, not just in the AFC West, but in the AFC as a whole. That passing game with Justin Herbert is just dynamic. And then you look at the Buffalo Bills. Again, big statement win for them on Sunday night. They smacked down the Chiefs. Now they've got a couple of games worth of lead on the Chiefs, and they've got a tiebreaker, and now they've got the knowledge of, regardless if that team would have to come to Buffalo or they have to go to Arrowhead, the Bills can beat this Chiefs team. And that's a big deal for them. In terms of the biggest losers of the week, the Seattle Seahawks. Now they've got a losing record, and they're going to be without Russell Wilson for several weeks. Not an ideal way to start this season. Could get ugly there really quickly. The Kansas City Chiefs, as I mentioned, they're now 2-3. They've lost all the big games except for the Week 1 game against the Browns. They lost to the Ravens. They lost to the Chargers. They lost to the Bills. And even if you think that the Chiefs are going to right this and they'll find just a little bit of defense and their offense will be what you expect their offense to be, the reality is that these other teams know that they can beat them. The Chiefs won't have that same aura around them. They won't have that same factor of intimidation or unbeatability. They can be had. And the Chargers, Bills, and Ravens all know come playoff time, we've done it once, we can do it again. And then I look at the Indianapolis Colts. And it's not devastating to their season, to be clear, because the AFC South is a complete shit show. It's bad. Ungodly, unbelievably bad. That said, this could have been a really big win for the Colts. You have a big fourth quarter lead, and you let it slip through your grasp. Now you're sitting at 1-4, which basically says, the way it looks right now, the only chance you have of making the playoffs is you're going to have to win that division. It limits your paths of entry to the playoffs. Now, I talked about this before, like even in my season preview for the Colts, that I didn't expect them to get out of the gate strong and thought 1-4 was a possibility. That's exactly where they had. Their schedule softens up a bit, I think, as you get through the rest of the season, but sometimes you start off that way. It's really hard to get your momentum. And even in a game where you have Carson Wentz throw for over 400 yards, and he's the popular punching bag, but he's delivering and making big throws and moving the ball down the field, like that's a game you've got to have. And they choked it away, plain and simple. In terms of game balls for the week, I'm going to go to Lamar Jackson. Some of the criticism about his passing feels like it's always going to be there no matter what, just like it was with Cam Newton. But he threw for 442 passing yards, 4 touchdowns. Like he was big money in a primetime spot. Props to him. Derrick Henry on the ground, 29 carries, 130 yards, and 3 touchdowns. A big performance and another Titans win. Mike Williams of the Chargers, 8 receptions, 165 yards, and 2 touchdowns. It's a big performance, and the Chargers needed every bit of that and then some. And then I look at defense and special teams. I'm honestly going to go with the Chicago Bears. Yes, I'm giving the Bears some props here. Their defense played well. They still had some stupid penalties, etc. And you could question just how mentally into it that Raiders team was. And if you watch the game on Sunday, it was clear they weren't. Especially Derek Carr just seemed highly disinterested. But this was a chance, another Khalil Mack bowl game. And Khalil Mack got his revenge. How fitting and appropriate, huh? That John Gruden's last game as a head coach with the Raiders and in the NFL comes as Khalil Mack is throwing Derek Carr to the ground multiple times. But the Chicago Bears only allowed 9 points against an offense in the Raiders that had been pretty productive the first 4 weeks of the year. Got an interception in Derek Carr, 3 sacks, held him under 300 total yards. And it was a big defensive performance for the Bears. Could be a bit of fool's gold, but based off of Week 5, when you look around the league, it was as good a defensive performance as you're going to see. And then we get to closing out Week 5 and the 2-minute drill. And yes, it's probably going to seem like it is targeted just towards Bears fans, and in some ways it's targeted towards them, but they're not the only ones. You watched the game on Sunday night. You watched the Sunday late afternoon game between the Chargers and the Browns. That should tell you how important it is to be able to score points, and big points, and how thinking you can win big games in big spots just with defense and running the football is a dated and dumb dick philosophy, and you've got to get away from that. Like looking at the Bears, for example. They ran the ball well on Sunday. Their defense played well. They won 20-9. But they look light years behind a team like the Bills. They look light years behind a team like the Chargers. Yes, you want to be able to play some defense. That's great. You love to be able to have a balanced approach. But the way the scales tip now in the NFL is that the great offense is going to beat the great defense. Or at least you could say the great offense is always going to be more important because you need to be a threat for 60 minutes. And even if you're down 14 or 17 or 21 points in the fourth quarter, if you got an explosive offense, I can put points up on the board quickly, you always have a chance. Whereas if you have a bad game defensively, which you were bound to eventually have, and you get down 14 or 17 in the fourth quarter, you are hoping and wishing and praying, and you are basically fucked. You have to look at the teams like the Bills, a lesser degree even the Chiefs because of their recent success. You have to look at the Chargers, and you have to say, that's what you want to be. That is the NFL of today. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, you want to talk about their defense, whatever. But it's the fact that they can go and put up 45 points on Miami. That's why they're a Super Bowl contender. It had nothing to do with their damn defense. Even when you look at the Rams, they've got some marquee talent on that defense. Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey. And all that shit doesn't matter. It's going to come down to Matthew Stafford and that offense and how many points they can put up. People need to wake up, join the 21st century, and understand that defense is nice, but with whatever it takes, you pay the price to have an explosive, high-powered offense because that's how you're going to win and win consistently in today's NFL.